Welcome back. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe to Retail Horror Stories. Hit the like button and drop a comment with where you're watching from and what time it is for you. That way, YouTube knows to keep showing you more stories like this. Now, let's begin. Maya's overnight shift at Walmart began like any other. The store after dark was quiet. Music low, lights humming, aisles stretching endlessly. She liked the stillness. It made her forget about the outside world. By midnight, she was in aisle 17, electronics overflow, stacking Bluetooth speakers when she spotted it. An old black rotary phone perched on the top shelf. No tag, no barcode. A layer of dust covered the receiver. "Vintage drop-off?" she muttered, lowering it into her cart. The thing felt colder than it should, heavier too. She turned to restock a box of headphones, then froze. The phone rang. It wasn't a ringtone, but an old-school clang that didn't belong in 2025. The sound echoed down the aisle, bouncing off plastic packaging and metal shelves. Maya swallowed. What the hell? It rang again. She lifted the receiver slowly. Electronics? Maya, a child's voice whispered. Her blood ran cold. Who is this? You said not to talk loud. The voice trembled. He doesn't like it when we talk loud. Her breath caught. Who doesn't? Silence, then a faint hiss, like breathing through static. I can't find the door. You said it would be open. What door? Maya whispered, glancing around. No one. The line went dead. She stared at the phone, the air thick with that quiet you only hear after something wrong happens. She hung up, shaking her head. Probably a prank. Someone on the night crew had to be messing with her. At 12:30, as she faced the shelves, the fluorescent lights flickered, only in her aisle. Then the phone rang again. She picked it up before it could echo. Stop calling me. I can hear the humming, the voice said softly. Like the big blue machines that breathe. Maya's stomach tightened. You mean the air vents? Kid, where are you? I don't know, the child whispered, behind the aisles. That phrase. It tugged something deep in her memory. Listen, you need to... He's coming, the voice interrupted. The man with the hat. The line clicked dead. Maya's hands trembled. She shoved the phone into her cart and pushed it toward the back room, her sneakers squeaking over the tile. The air felt colder near the concrete walls. She stopped beneath a flickering bulb. The phone rang again. She lifted it slowly. What do you want from me? You said you'd come back, the child said, before the door moved. What door? She whispered. The one in the dark, said the voice. It's here again. Maya turned and froze. A door she'd never seen before stood at the end of the hallway. Matte black. No handle. Just a rectangle cut into the wall like paint that had swallowed light. Her pulse thundered. Are you behind that door? I'm cold, the voice said. You told me to wait for the phone. Maya stepped closer. The air near the door was freezing. She could hear something faint on the other side. A slow, dragging step. What's your name? She asked. You know it, said the voice. It's yours. She felt her stomach drop. That's not funny. You said the door moves, the voice went on, as if she hadn't spoken. Tonight it's here. Tomorrow it'll be toys. Maya gripped the receiver. How do you know that? You told me, the child said softly. before he found us. From behind the door came 3 sharp knocks. Maya's knees weakened. "Who's there?" she whispered. The door trembled, metal flexing like it was breathing. A low hum rippled through the walls. The child's whisper turned frantic. "Don't open it, Maya!" The lights flickered again, faster now, the air vibrating. She backed away until her cart hit the wall. The phone buzzed with static so loud it nearly screamed. Then, through the static, her own voice whispered back, "Run." She dropped the receiver. The door groaned open an inch, releasing a wave of air that smelled like rust and rain. Something moved in that darkness, too tall, too slow, wearing a shape that didn't belong to anyone alive. Maya ran. Through the hall, past the pallets bursting into the glow of the main aisles. The sound of the phone followed her, each ring distant, echoing, fading. When she turned around, the hallway was empty. She didn't stop until she was outside, standing in the parking lot beneath the orange streetlights. The glass doors reflected her pale face back at her. The ringing had stopped. The next morning, she came in early. Curiosity overrode fear. "Morning," her manager said, waving her over. "You'll love this. Maintenance found something weird in electronics." He led her to aisle 17. On the top shelf sat the same rotary phone, coiled cord neatly wrapped, spotless. Next to it was a small pink children's bike, the tag so faded she could barely read it. Lost and Found, 2002. Her chest tightened. "Where'd that come from?" The manager shrugged. "No idea. Night crew swears it wasn't there before." Maya reached out, brushing dust off the receiver. It felt warm, like someone had been holding it seconds ago. Against her better judgment, she lifted it. For a moment, nothing. Then, through faint static, "You said you'd find me." Her hand went numb. "Who are you?" The voice trembled. "He's angry, Maya." The door moved again. She slammed the receiver down. The echo rang through the aisle, loud enough that the manager jumped. "Everything okay?" "Yeah," she lied, forcing a smile. "Just old tech." As he walked away, she glanced toward the end of the aisle. One fluorescent light flickered. On, off, on. And beneath it, she swore she saw a black door slowly fade into view. Then came the faint sound of a phone ringing. Again. And again. Eric's overnight security shift at Walmart had always been quiet. Too quiet, most nights. He liked it that way, less chaos, just cameras, coffee, and the hum of lights above the empty aisles. At 2:13 a.m., a motion alert blinked on the monitor. Toys, aisle 5. He squinted at the screen. A small figure stood between the shelves. A kid, alone. He grabbed his flashlight and radio. Dispatch, we got a child in store after hours." No response, just static. When he stepped into the toy section, the silence felt heavier than usual. The air smelled faintly of rubber and dust. "Hey, buddy," Eric called softly. "Where are your parents?" The kid didn't move. He stood halfway down the aisle, head tilted, a cracked white mask covering his face. Its smile was carved too wide. Eric froze. Okay, that's creepy. He took a cautious step forward. "You can't be here right now, kid. Store's closed." The boy slowly turned his head. The overhead lights flickered as he did, like the store itself flinched. Eric raised his flashlight. "Hey!" The kid was gone. He blinked hard. The aisle stretched empty before him. No footsteps, no sound. Just a single rubber ball rolling from the far end until it bumped against his shoe. His radio crackled. "Eric," a voice said. "Are you with him?" He froze. It wasn't dispatch. It wasn't anyone he recognized. Who is this? The line hissed, then went silent. He backed up slowly, flashlight shaking in his hand. "This isn't funny," he muttered. Then ringing. Not his radio, not his phone. The sound came from the employee break room, faint but sharp, like an old rotary phone someone had forgotten to disconnect. Eric followed the sound through the dim back hallway. The ringing echoed off the concrete until he reached the door marked "Employees Only." Inside, the break room was dark, except for the faint glow of a vending machine. On the table sat a black rotary phone, its cord twisted like a snake. He picked up the receiver. "Security," he said. A small, shaky voice answered. "Don't let him leave again." Eric's throat tightened. "Who is this?" The line hissed. "You said you'd stop him." "Stop who?" "The man in the hat," the voice whispered. The same phrase Maya had heard days before, but Eric didn't know that. The line went dead. He stared at the phone, the silence louder than anything. Then his walkie burst to life again, this time with breathing. Heavy, uneven, right against the mic. "Who's on this channel?" Eric demanded. A child's giggle answered. He spun around. The hallway beyond the break room flickered under the lights. The boy was standing there again. Same cracked mask, same stillness. The mask's grin caught the fluorescent light. The eyes behind it were completely black. "Kid," Eric said slowly, "I need you to take off the mask." The boy tilted his head. "Please," Eric whispered. The boy raised one small hand and pointed toward the ceiling camera above Eric's head. Eric glanced up. The red light on the camera was blinking. Recording. He turned back. The boy was gone. The radio on his belt crackled again. This time, it wasn't breathing. It was himself. His own voice from a few minutes ago. "Hey buddy, where are your parents?" Then the child's giggle again, looping like a broken recording. Eric sprinted down the hall, cutting through electronics, past the closed registers. Every camera he passed showed static. The ringing started again, louder now. He followed it through the aisles until he saw the phone, the same black rotary, resting on a shelf near the clearance toys. Its cord stretched across the floor, leading nowhere. He picked it up, hands trembling. "What do you want from me?" "You said you'd help me," the voice said. "You said you'd stop him this time." "Stop who?" Eric shouted. "Who's doing this?" The voice went quiet, then softly. "He's behind you." Eric turned. At the end of the aisle stood the man in the hat. Tall, shadowed, wearing a mask like the boy's but cracked down the middle. The brim hid his eyes, but his grin showed through the split porcelain. Eric stumbled backward, knocking boxes from the shelf. "Stay back!" The man didn't move. Eric aimed his flashlight, but the beam flickered, then died completely. When the light came back on, the man was gone. Only the mask remained, lying on the floor where the boy had stood earlier. Eric crouched to pick it up, his heart hammering. It was warm. Inside, a name was written in black marker. Eric, age 9. He froze. The phone rang again right beside him. He picked it up slowly. You remembered, the voice said. You said you'd come back for me. Eric's breath caught. That's not possible. You left me here, the voice said. You said the cameras would keep me safe. He dropped the phone like it burned. It clattered on the tile. When he looked back down, the mask was gone. The intercom above him crackled. A distorted voice whispered through the speakers. Attention, Eric. It's closing time. Every light in the store shut off at once. Darkness swallowed everything except the faint orange glow of the exit sign. He ran toward it, but as he reached the doors, his reflection in the glass made him stop cold. He was still wearing a security badge, still holding the flashlight. But the face looking back wasn't his. It was a child's face, wearing a cracked white mask. The next morning, the day manager found Eric's radio on the floor of the toy aisle. The footage from the cameras showed only static, except one frame. At 2:13 a.m., a small figure in a Walmart vest walked past the toy section, holding a flashlight, wearing a child-sized mask that smiled too wide. And for just a second, a man in a hat stood behind him, his hand resting gently on the boy's shoulder. Then the screen went black. Tessa hated late shifts at the Walmart pickup counter. After 11 p.m., the world outside went silent, just the hum of fridges and the flicker of fluorescent lights. At 1:42 a.m., the pickup screen flashed. Order number 666, ready for pickup, no name, no phone number. Just a timestamp. Placed 20 years ago. She frowned. Probably a system bug. But when she checked the shelf, one box waited there. Small, sealed with brittle tape, marked 666 in thick black ink. The phone on the counter rang. Not her cell. The old rotary phone maintenance had thrown out last week. Walmart pickup, she said cautiously. A man's voice whispered, "Don't touch that box." Her throat tightened. "Who is this?" "It isn't yours," he said. "You promised you'd wait for the call." "What call?" she asked. Click. Deadline. The box rattled. Her radio buzzed, a burst of static. "Tessa! You in pickup?" She reached for the radio, but before she could respond, the phone rang again. "Stop calling me," she snapped. "You opened it," the man said. She looked down. The tape was split open. Inside sat a Walmart badge with her name on it, but it wasn't her photo. The picture showed a woman who looked almost like her, smiling. The badge date, December 3rd, 2004. Her hands shook. "What is this?" "You said you'd send it back," the voice said. "I never said that." "Yes," he replied. "You did. Before you died." Tessa stumbled backward, knocking the box to the floor. The lights flickered. The intercom above her crackled. "Tessa," a distorted voice whispered. "Pickup order ready." Every monitor glowed the same message. "Customer arrived, spot 13. Her stomach dropped. The front doors were locked, but outside, a black van sat idling, headlights dim. The phone rang again. "Don't go out there," said the man. "He's already inside." "Who?" "The man with the hat." Glass thudded. Something hit the door, once, twice. She hit the panic button. Nothing happened. She grabbed the receiver again. "What do you want from me?" "I want what you promised," the voice said. "You were supposed to close the order." "I don't know what that means." "Yes, you do." The front doors slid open. even though the power was off. Cold air swept in. A tall figure stepped through. Wide-brimmed hat, long coat, cracked white mask smiling too wide. Tessa ducked behind the counter, shaking. The man's shoes clicked on tile, slow, deliberate. The phone rang again, shrill in the silence. She pressed her hand over it to quiet the sound. It stopped. Then came the sound of breathing. Close, steady, right above her hiding place. She ran. Down the hallway, past the storeroom, her shoes slapping against the tile. She burst through the door to the loading dock. The alarm didn't go off. The black van was gone. Only the rotary phone sat waiting by the ramp. It rang once, then again. She lifted it with shaking hands. "Please, what's happening to me?" Her own voice answered. "You never make it past this part." What? You said you'd close the order before he arrived." "You never do." The line went dead. Behind her, footsteps echoed, slow, patient. Tessa turned, but no one was there. Only the badge she'd dropped earlier, lying in a puddle of flickering orange light from the exit sign. She picked it up. The photo had changed again. It was her face now, smiling behind a cracked porcelain mask. The next morning, the opening crew found the pickup counter empty. The system monitor showed a single frozen message. "Order number 666, awaiting return." On the counter sat a cardboard box sealed with new tape. Inside was the black rotary phone, perfectly coiled, and beneath it, a Walmart badge. Her name printed clear as day, but the photo wasn't her anymore. It was someone else, eyes dark, grin too wide, wearing a black hat. Louise worked overnights in the back room, where the hum of forklifts and the clatter of pallets drowned out the rest of Walmart's ghosts. He liked it that way. Less customers, less talking, just the rhythm of boxes and scanners. Around 2 a.m., he noticed it. A door at the end of the hallway that wasn't supposed to be there. The wall behind receiving had always been solid. Cinder block, gray paint, one emergency exit. But tonight, a second door stood beside it. Metal, matte black, no handle, no hinges. Just there. He frowned, rubbed his eyes, and called out, "Maintenance." No answer. He walked closer. The air around it felt colder, like standing in front of an open freezer. He reached out, touched the surface, smooth as glass. Then it vibrated. Luis jumped back. His walkie crackled. "Luis, you near receiving?" "Yeah," he said, eyes fixed on the door. "Thought we saw movement on camera." "You alone?" He hesitated. "I think so." "Okay," the voice said. "Just keep the docks locked tonight?" Corporate audit in the morning. The radio went silent again. He stared at the door. It didn't look new, more like it had always been there, hiding behind the noise. A faint ringing echoed from the other side, soft and distant, like an old phone buried under concrete. He pressed his ear against it. "Maya," a voice whispered through the metal. "He's coming." Luis froze. "Who's there?" The ringing stopped. He laughed nervously. "Okay, time for coffee." He turned to leave, then the lights flickered. The phone on the manager's desk rang. He picked it up. Receiving. "You found the door," said a man's voice. Luis's heart skipped. "Who is this?" "You shouldn't have touched it." "Excuse me?" You woke him up. Who? Luis demanded. The line clicked dead. He slammed the phone down. The black door at the end of the hall was now open, just an inch, light bleeding from the crack. Not funny, he muttered. He walked toward it slowly, the air heavy with the smell of damp concrete. Something whispered faintly from inside, soft, urgent voices, like people talking through walls. He pushed the door. It opened easily, without a sound. Beyond it was a narrow corridor made of rough concrete, no lights, no paint, like part of an unfinished basement that didn't belong to the store. His flashlight flickered the moment he aimed it down the hall. "Hello?" A whisper drifted back. "Close it." He turned, startled. The voice had come from behind him, but the hall was empty. "Close the door, Luis." He froze. It was his own voice. He slammed the door shut and stumbled back. His breathing came fast. When he turned toward the main dock, the emergency exit lights were off. The only light came from under the black door, faint and orange like fire behind thick glass. His radio crackled again. "Luis," the same co-worker said. "Camera shows someone standing behind you." He spun around. No one. "Say again?" he whispered. "Tall guy, looks like—" Static swallowed the rest. Then, faintly, he heard the ringing again, from inside the door. He approached slowly, shaking. The metal pulsed, warm beneath his hand. He pressed his ear to it. A woman's voice came through, soft, desperate. "Don't let him in." He stepped back. "Who are you?" "You said you'd close it this time," the voice said. "This time?" The door shuddered violently, as if something slammed against it from the other side. Once, twice. Then silence. He bolted for the break room, breath sharp in his chest. The vending machine lights flickered like dying stars. The black phone sat on the table again. He swore he'd thrown it out weeks ago. It rang. He picked it up, voice trembling. "What do you want?" "You can't keep closing it," said the man's voice. "It opens on its own." "Who are you?" Someone who didn't make it out. Luis's knees weakened. "Out of what?" "The aisles," the man said. "Behind the aisles. Where the humming sleeps." The line cut off. Luis lowered the phone, staring at it. Then, from the hallway, the door creaked open again. Slow. Steady. The orange light grew brighter, spilling across the tile. And then came the sound of footsteps. Not human. Too heavy. Too measured. He backed into the break room corner, whispering, "This isn't happening." A shadow filled the doorway. A man in a long coat stepped through, face hidden by a wide-brimmed hat. His porcelain mask was cracked across the mouth, smiling too wide. Luis froze. The man stopped at the center of the room, head tilting slightly, like listening to something Luis couldn't hear. Then he turned back toward the hall and vanished through the door without sound. When Luis ran to the doorway, the hall was empty. The black door was gone. Only the wall remained, solid gray, untouched. The phone rang one last time. He answered it with shaking hands. "Is he gone?" Luis whispered. The woman's voice returned, faint, tired. "For now. Until it moves again." "Until what moves?" "The door," she said. "It always finds another store." Click. The next morning, the day crew found Luis's scanner lying on the floor beside the manager's desk. On the wall behind it, someone had drawn a black rectangle in thick marker, an outline of a door, the words "Do not open" scrawled beneath. Maintenance painted over it. By midnight, the paint was cracked, and a faint orange light leaked through. Amber preferred stocking shelves alone. The store, after midnight, felt peaceful. Aisles empty, music low, the smell of cardboard and floor wax hanging in the air. By 1 a.m., she was halfway through toys when her walkie crackled. "Amber," a voice whispered. She lifted it. "Yeah?" Static. Then nothing. She frowned. Probably interference. The radios glitched constantly during storms, and thunder rolled faintly outside. She set the walkie back on her cart and continued restocking. A few minutes later, it crackled again. "Amber, restock aisle 12. She froze. The voice wasn't her manager's. It was deeper, flat, distant. She pressed the button. "Who is this?" No answer. When she checked the aisle list, her blood chilled. Aisle 12 had been closed for months, taped off for renovation. The voice came again, softer this time. "You forgot the phone." Her cart's scanner beeped. She looked down and saw it sitting on top of the boxes. A black rotary phone. No cord, no dust, just there. She whispered, "Where the hell did you come from?" The phone rang. The sound echoed off the shelves, loud, metallic, old-fashioned. She picked up the receiver. "Who is this?" "Amber," a child's voice whispered. "You're late again." Her heart thudded. "What?" "The man's waiting." "I think you have the wrong." Click. Deadline. Amber dropped the receiver back onto the phone. The dial spun by itself, clicking back into place. Her walkie buzzed again. "Amber, did you find it?" "Find what?" she asked. "The door," said the voice. It moved. "Who is this?" she snapped. "This isn't funny." The lights above flickered, humming louder. She turned the corner. Aisle 12's caution tape was gone. The aisle stretched open and dark. Her scanner flashed red. Restock. Aisle 12. "No way," she whispered, heart racing. The phone rang again, from somewhere down the aisle. She followed the sound through rows of half-stocked shelves. Boxes sat open, their labels faded. Dust floated in the beam of her flashlight. At the end of the aisle stood another rotary phone, this one hanging from a wall that looked too old to belong in a Walmart. The wallpaper behind it peeled like skin. She lifted the receiver. "Who's there?" "You said you'd finish the shift this time," the voice said. "Before he came." "Who?" "The man with the hat." The line hissed, then went silent. She turned to leave. A figure stood halfway down the aisle, tall, motionless, face hidden under a wide-brimmed hat. Amber's flashlight flickered. "Hello?" The man didn't move. When the light blinked back on, he was gone. Her walkie buzzed again. "Amber," the voice said, calm and close. "He's in hardware now. Don't look away from the shelves." She gripped the cart handle. "You need to stop talking to me." "You said that last time too," the voice replied. "But it always ends the same." She backed away, scanning for an exit. The intercom above her crackled. "Attention, associates," it whispered in a child's voice. "It's time for restock." The lights dimmed. Every aisle went dark except hers. Amber ran. She sprinted past housewares, past grocery, the ringing following her. each phone she passed lighting up for just a second, cords twitching like snakes. She burst into the break room, chest heaving. The lights flickered on. On the table sat the same black phone. It rang. She stared at it, shaking. "Leave me alone." "You said that before," the voice answered. "You don't remember, do you?" "Remember what?" "You're the one who keeps restocking." The floor creaked behind her. Amber turned. The man stood in the doorway, tall, silent, the hat hiding his face. The porcelain mask beneath was cracked, its grin too wide. Amber stumbled back. "Stay away from me." The man reached up and pointed to the phone. It rang again. Against every instinct, she answered. "Please," she whispered, "tell me how to stop this." The voice on the other end was her own. "You can't," it said. "You already didn't." The man stepped closer, slow and steady. Amber threw the phone. It hit the floor, shattering, only to reappear on the table, perfectly intact, still ringing. The lights went out. In the dark, the ringing stopped. Then came the sound of the phone dialing itself, slow, deliberate clicks echoing like footsteps. When the lights flickered back on, the room was empty. Only the phone remained, the receiver dangling off the edge of the table. It buzzed softly, a whisper beneath the static. Restock complete. At dawn, the morning crew found Amber's cart in aisle 12. The shelves were perfectly faced, every product aligned. The scanner beside the cart displayed a message that hadn't existed in the system before. Shift complete, call received. On top of the cart sat a rotary phone. Its dial was cracked, its receiver missing, and on the wall above it, a black handprint dripping down toward the floor.